Okay, we're recording.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of May 25th, 2021, 7 p.m. This is a web-based meeting. First on our agenda, public hearing on the Arnhold Foundation re-subdivision 2 lots, Sunset Hill Road. This was continued from our last meeting while we waited for the engineering report. Who is speaking on behalf of this application? Dinas?
Good evening. For the record, Dinas Verbicus, professional engineer with Artel Engineering Group, sitting here in beautiful downtown Brookfield. And thanks for letting me present tonight what we have proposed. And I don't know if you want me to put a map up on the screen or if we want to just go without. I don't know if you're all looking at maps. But
We're actually not.
If you could put a map, that would
Probably
be
not.
very helpful.
Yes.
sure.
Screen sharing is enabled for you as well, Mr. Verbicus.
Okay. I just got to find the screen to share. Come on. Oh, there it is. I'm looking right at it. Sorry, folks. Ta-da. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. So the Arnhold subdivision is a subdivision of property located at 31 Sunset Hill Road. The property is about 62.75 acres in size. And is generally located in the center of this location map. For the most part, across the street from Jacobs Lane. And then if we go a little bit to the north, almost across the street from Burnham Woods. So it gives you kind of a general idea of the location. Hold on, I'll go to the next map. And this one's a little bit light to read. I don't know if you can see it, but the property again, this is the survey map prepared by Zach Rapp. Basically following my pointer. I've got a giant hand on my screen. What do you have?
Yep.
Yes.
We see the hand.
Oh, okay, good. So it's an improvement. I don't know how it came to be a hand, but it was always a little tiny pencil. I could never see it. But that's the property itself. Again, roughly 62.75 acres in size. And what's being proposed this evening is a division of land for a parcel of about 2 acres in size, located at the west portion of the site. And then a little bit larger parcel here, about 4.9 acres in size at the southwest end of the property. Both and the remaining 55.8 acres, give or take, is slated to be donated as open space as part of the Arnhold Foundation. Both parcels themselves are, for the most part, generally wooded in nature. Slopes are relatively gentle, from 7 to about 10%. There are some flatter areas and some steeper areas, but in general, where we're proposing to develop, topography is rather gentle. Both parcels do have a little bit of wetlands on them. You'll note, and I can zoom in a little bit to Lot A, Parcel A. There's a wetland located in the in the southeast corner of the parcel. And if I scroll down to the other proposed parcel, you'll note there's a wetland located kind of in the northwest portion of the parcel. And it appears that this wetland likely is fed by some road drainage that cuts through, going from the opposite side of the road. This Parcel B currently is developed with a tennis court that was part of the Arnhold homestead that existed prior to that parcel being sold off. And this tennis court is proposed to remain in at least the current plans that are proposed. Now I'll go to the next sheet. So here's our supplemental map that was prepared to go with the subdivision map. And I'll zoom in a little bit. We had some time ago performed on-site soil testing for septic system suitability and found soils throughout the property that were generally good for septic system leaching purposes. And we have designed our developments of these parcels accordingly. And again, what we've proposed here is a modestly sized home, a well, a driveway coming off of Sunset Hill Road, and then a septic system located towards the northerly portion of the property. We do have an area earmarked for a potential future pool. And then this dark spot way down, kind of well removed from the home, is where we've proposed our stormwater management system. And because the property is currently wooded and will be, turned to grass for a good portion of it, the stormwater management system is a bit on the larger side. You'll note not only on this parcel, but on the other parcel that we respected the 100-foot upland review area associated with the wetlands, and that is denoted by this dark line on this parcel. And then I'll scroll down to Parcel B. Parcel B also has this 100-foot upland review area denoted also. So again, all proposed development is outside of that regulated area. And we were fortunate enough to have received wetland approval at the meeting last night. This parcel also will have its access off of Sunset Hill Road. The driveway is kind of long, but we're trying to avoid the wetlands in the upland review area and have the home situated kind of nicely on a knoll, just kind of in line with where the tennis court is located. And this is a preliminary plan, subject to final design at some point in time after we hope the subdivision is approved. This parcel will also have its own individual well site, stormwater management system at the northeast corner of the parcel, and also down at the southwest corner of the parcel. So we can manage stormwater runoff associated with the driveway on the southern part, and the home and lawn area in the northern part. I can zoom in on these if you wish, to show you a little bit more in detail, or we can keep it light, however you wish. But
I
again,
think that's been,
that-
I think it's sufficient what you've done as far as our basic outline and meeting the requirements of our subdivision regulations as they are, as you normally explain during a public hearing.
Okay, thank you. And we have today received comments from the review engineering company. And I've looked at the comment letter. They've asked for quite a bit of information to be added to the plan, but I'd say generally there are no showstoppers in this. It's just more of a lot of I dotting and a lot of T crossing. But in general, nothing out of the ordinary from this review. We are, I think at this point, waiting also from the health department comments.
That's correct.
So I've got really nothing to add on that, but again,
In
the
regards
soil-
to the, I'm sorry, Dennis.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
In regards to the health department comments, I'm correct that you've already been out there a while back doing soil testing and things of that nature, test holes, before you even showed placement of where the septic's going to be located?
Correct. Yeah, again, when we did our soil testing, it was years ago. And I don't know how we timed it, but both times or the 3 times that we went out, it was, snowing to
Soils are
beat the
good.
band.
Mhm.
But we conducted the soil test. Laura came out like a trooper that she is, witnessed the deepest holes, and we conducted the percolation test sometime after, when the weather was a little bit better. But again, the soils are nothing out of the ordinary. It's what you would expect typically in New England. And from what I recall, the soils were a little bit better than what we had found across the street years ago. But it's neither here nor there. I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have at this point.
Beth, is there any comment you want to make about the Wright Pierce memorandum? Because there are a lot of things in here that I think Dinus may want to address to the commission.
Especially the site plan ones, yes.
As far as Wright Pierce's memo, I will be discussing that more with Wright Pierce.
Okay.
In regards to some of the information they're looking for. At
Okay.
times when they're doing these reviews, they tend to look at it as a true site plan instead of a subdivision plan. And the difference is subdivision, you show feasibility. Site plan is the nitty-gritty detail. And
Okay.
I think I did not find anything, even though the memo is long, I didn't find anything that was insurmountable.
Okay.
All right.
In regards to the hearing itself, Pat, I would suggest I would leave it open until the 8th of June. In order to receive the comments from the health department, I'm not comfortable speaking for them.
Okay.
But at the same time, I do believe that a decision can be made as requested by Attorney Marcus. We really want to try to wrap this up if it's at all feasible, so we can complete the subdivision and have the opportunity to receive the open space. Pat?
She's muted. Pat, you're still muted.
As this is a public hearing, is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment or ask a question on this? I'm assuming no. So I'll move out to commissioners. I have no questions. Kitty, do you?
Well, no, it was only, yeah, I had a couple on the Wright and Pierce, but that's his council word, so I am too.
Okay, John.
Thank you, Pat. I am good with everything, but to Beth's point, that I think you should poll the commission for a consensus on that, as long as everything gets lined up with our town engineers and the health department, that the consensus would be to approve the project so we could move ahead with the other side of it.
Right, and this will be at our next meeting, not this one.
Well, but I think that we should, as a commission, I think that we should ask for a consensus vote so
Nice.
that Beth and the applicant knows the direction of the commission.
Right.
Penny.
I agree with everything that's been said so far. No extra questions.
Bob.
I agree with John that we need to keep this thing moving to June 8th. I think that's a date Beth said. And without closing the public hearing, but be ready to act on it that night
Okay,
with a consensus approval
Right.
on June 8th.
on June
Well,
8th.
no, wait a minute, guys, but I'm okay with we're not going to vote on a motion, but I think that we need to give clear consensus on that the complete
forward.
commission is in favor of this application as long as all the i's and the t's get crossed later. But I think
Well,
that the applicant is looking for, an idea that the commission is happy with everything going as of today.
There'd be no
Yes,
surprise.
but we have to leave it open to June 8th at Beth's request.
But
We have to get the health department report from the health department.
But we can still give Beth a consensus tonight on how we feel about the application.
Exactly, Kitty.
Beth, do you agree with that?
Yes,
Okay,
Well, that's what I'm saying is if there's nothing we have to deal with once Beth writes it up for the next meeting, we could approve it at the next meeting.
The June
Correct.
meeting, Right.
that's what I'm looking for.
okay.
If
Linda,
I'm happy with the application.
Rob Wallace,
Yep, I'm happy. I have no questions or comments.
all right, then we will move
Right.
forward, a commission consensus. We're looking for that we can move this forward and request Beth to do a write-up for our June 8th meeting. All in favor, or it's a consensus if by a show of hands?
Good.
I have, just
Okay,
from,
I just can't see everybody. Hold
yeah,
on.
just by the comments that were made, Pat, I can, I have a clear consensus
Perfect.
from the
thank
board.
you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Then this will continue to June 8th.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you all. It's been a
Bye.
while, way too long, but thanks for listening.
Yeah, nice to see you, Dinus.
Yep, great seeing you also. Now I just got to
All right,
find the door.
Next on our agenda is Margaret I. Stratford Kovner, accessory structure in front yard, 56 Milwaukee Avenue. And this is a public hearing and we do have a public notice.
Okay, the Bethel Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on the following application on May 11th, 2021 at 7 p.m. using the virtual platform Zoom to hear the following application. Stratford Kovner, 65 Milwaukee Avenue, accessory structure in front yard / generator. Map 39, block 64, lot 39. Information pertaining to the application can be found at the Google Drive. The public may send comments via regular mail and email at the landuse@bethelconnecticut.gov. Comments must be received by 3:30 on 5/10/21 in order to be included. Pat Rich, Chairman.
Thank you, Kitty.
Right.
All right, Beth, any comments you want to make on this before we move to, I guess it looks like the Kovners are representing themselves.
Yes, the
Yes.
Kovners are representing themselves this evening. This is, we've had another instance, unfortunately or fortunately, whenever one has requested the department to put an accessory structure in the front yard of their home. It is a requirement that a special permit and a public hearing be held by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And on that note, I'll let the Kovners represent their application. David, would you do me a favor and bring it up on the screen?
Certainly.
Thank you. And please introduce yourselves and state your address.
Sure. My name is Ron Kovner. This is my wife, Margaret Ivel Stratford Kovner, and we are the owners and occupants of 56 Milwaukee Avenue in Bethel.
And I'm Margaret Idle Stratford of 56 Milwaukee Avenue.
Please note also, in case there was some discrepancy as far as the legal notice, it was a typo. It said 65, but technically what we use is the map block and lot, and that was correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
There you go.
I think, this application is for, we purchased a Generac standby generator, basically because of the last lengthy power outage. And we had planned to put it in the backyard. But we've had the electrician and the seller out here twice trying to figure out how they can do that. I think you can see from the letter from Bill Deek that it really just isn't feasible. So we're asking for a permit to locate the unit in our front lot, but it's going to be close to the front of our house. And as you can see, our front yard is, the house is about 120 feet back from Milwaukee Avenue. So the Generac unit would barely be visible. There are cedar trees in front of it. And, you know, it really would be very hard to even see from Milwaukee Avenue. As far as the neighbors on either side, any vision of that is completely blocked by shrubs and a fence. In terms of the criteria for a special permit, I think, you know, for those that even apply, I think we satisfy them. You know, there's no sound at all unless the power's out. And these Generacs have a special sound reducing shell that makes them relatively quiet when they're in use, much quieter than the gasoline fuel generators. So, yeah, and the size is very small. It's only 29 inches high and I think 4 feet long. Unless there are any questions, in which we'd be happy to entertain and happy to supply, if you think more information is required, you know, we'll certainly get that.
I'm just curious, how many feet away from your house is it?
It will be between the end that's furthest out will be within 10 feet from the house.
Okay, okay.
Probably
Thank
less.
you. All right, as you are a public hearing, we'll reach out to the public. Does anyone have any comments or questions about this application? All right, hearing none, we'll move to commission members. Excuse me, my only question was how far away from the structure this was going to be located. Kitty?
Are there any plans to put shrubs or a low fence to cover, to shield it from the road?
Yeah, we're planning to do something like that, subject to, you know, the requirement that we can't really encase it.
No, no.
But we do want to do something like that, put plants or shrubs in front of it at a certain distance.
That'd be a much better idea. Thank you.
Well, it'll just look nicer.
Of course, absolutely. For your house too, as well.
That's right.
I
you,
might
Kitty.
add, some people don't even notice there's a house back there.
John, I'm sorry, Penny.
No, I have no questions.
John?
Just maybe a comment. So there's lots of generators in the town of Bethel. We live in a time where we want to be secure in our homes. I think that we should approve this application. I apologize that the applicant has to come in for something like this. If you drive around any country road up in Nashville, generators are seen from the road and the houses are 30 feet off. And the reason they don't have to come in is because they are officially in their side yard. So the fact that they need to put it near their home, I don't think we should penalize them. And I would be in favor of approving the application tonight. And the only other thing I could add, so years ago, we used to put generators right against our home and the shrubbery covered them all by themselves, or you hardly saw them. But because of fire hazards, the building inspectors asked that they are 10 feet off the property, off the home, so they don't affect the house or maybe burn the house down. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. Ken?
I agree with everything John said. We need to approve this and let them put the generator in.
Of course.
Bob Legnard?
I agree with John also. I took a ride by there. It's a well-maintained property, and I think they'll take every effort to make this blend in as best it can. It's unfortunate they can't put it in the backyard, but they did explain why, and I think we should approve it.
Thank you. Linda?
Yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable application, and I see nothing obtrusive or offensive about it, so I'm in favor.
All right, so by a show of hands, we're all in favor of closing this application.
Aye.
Yep.
All right, this application is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving
Okay.
on
Have a good night.
to our business meeting. I want to seat Linda Curtis for Rich Tibbetts. If I may have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of May 11th.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes of May
11th.
11th. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second,
A second?
second.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Yes.
Next on our agenda is our work sessions.
All right.
First on the work session.
Thank
is
you
the
all.
Arnold
We'll be
Foundation
leaving.
Re-subdivision 2 lots,
Good night.
Sunset Hill
Good
Road.
night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Our pleasure.
Okay, Pat. Pat,
Well,
Pat, you're muted.
again?
That did it by itself. Next is our work session, Arnold Foundation Re-subdivision 2 lots, Sunset Hill Road.
is tabled till June 8th.
Right.
Okay. Next is Margaret I. Stratford Kovner, accessory structure in front yard, 56 Milwaukee Avenue.
And I believe you can do it off the cuff.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to, let me put my glasses on so I can read it. To approve Margaret I. Stratford Kovner, accessory structure in front yard, 56 Milwaukee Avenue. It meets all the necessities that we have set out for this structure. And well, we don't have any health department or anything else, right?
No. And what I'll do is in the approval, I'll make I'll refer to the regulation.
Exactly, okay.
All right,
That's
And
it.
the fact that it's a special permit. Yeah.
right.
Yes. Oh, I'm
I'll
sorry,
second
thank you,
Kitty's
John.
motion.
Thanks, John. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Okay. Done.
You have 2 new applications for next month. One is 15 Trowbridge Drive. There's an existing structure there. It's an addition for 5,000 square feet to the existing building. They do some type of electrical testing there. And you will not need a public hearing because it already has a special permit, so it'll be a site plan review. The second item is, again, another situation where you have a corner lot located on Ridgedale Road, and the accessory structure will be considered in the front yard, even though it's in the side of the home.
Is the
And that's
pool?
scheduled, excuse me?
Is this the pool?
Yes, the pool. So that will need a public hearing and a special permit. And I would like to schedule that for the 8th of June.
That's good.
And I apologize, Beth, what's the address on Ridgedale?
14.
14. Okay, I'd like to schedule a public hearing for Rich Mamone, accessory structure in front yard, 14 Ridgedale Road, for June 8th. And to send it out to any of the
Second,
Thank you, Kitty.
any of the people in town who need to look at it.
second.
Health,
Thank you, Bob.
whatever.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Can I just ask
Aye.
a quick question?
Penny has a question.
Question?
Sure.
As I'm looking at, on Google Maps, and I'm looking at the house, what side of the house would this be on? Do we know?
It's not on the Ridgedale Road side. I believe it's adjacent to Hillside Court,
Okay.
Yeah, that
Hillcrest.
Oh, okay, then I know where it is.
It's a hill something, and it would be on that
No, I
side.
think it's Hilldale. I'm
Oh,
not
sorry.
mistaken.
Hard to see. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so again, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the planning and zoning official report.
Well, wait a minute, we need to set up for Toll Bridge. We're not doing a public hearing,
There's
Beth,
no
but we have to
public
do
hearing. No, we're not.
something.
It's site plan only.
It's a site plan review, John.
Okay, so we don't have to schedule anything.
No,
It's
Got
just
it.
what's on for acceptance.
All right, and they're coming in because they're changing the use or they're putting an addition on?
An addition of 5,000 square
it.
feet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
all right, moving on. Planning and zoning official report, Beth.
In the drive, you'll find numerous documents pertaining to House Bill 6107. There's been a lot of discussion on changing the state statutes 8-2 pertaining to zoning. And so this is really to help clarify some of that. I'm not going to read my report into the record at this point. I don't think it's necessary. I think it stands for itself. It's just a brief explanation. A few things I want to mention. The State House of Reps passed the bill last week. I do believe that the House Senate will also pass the bill. I will also tell you that during this whole process that our state representative Raheb Ali Brennan was in constant contact with me, asking me numerous questions, asking for explanations on how the town of Bethel does things. I will also tell you that he voted no against this particular House bill. Attached to it are the sections of the House bill pertaining to accessory apartments. In the House bill, what they're basically saying is if you have a single family home in a residential zone, that you by right are allowed to have an accessory dwelling. It can be detached, it can be attached. They have some requirements of 1,000 square feet or 30%. Starting in 2023, those accessory dwelling units will not count towards your affordable housing numbers.
Oh my God.
Great.
So there is a process, and you can read more of the nitty-gritty details in their bill, which I provided with you and highlighted. In relation to that, the way we have our regulations set up, we will always be able to, the state will accept our accessory apartments as affordable units because we will have and continue to have the deed restriction to them.
Oh,
So they will count towards our affordable numbers. The big settlement part when they were doing this negotiations on the bill itself was that at the very last minute, there's a provision to opt out of the accessory dwelling portion of the state statute that they're putting in for this bill. So that means if this bill is passed, it will become effective October 1st. And if we want to opt out from it, there's a process to opt out. I want you to review the bill, review our regulations, compare them to the state statutes over the next 2 weeks. I would like to get some more discussion and more indication of how you all feel about it. If you want to opt out and keep our regs, or if you want to opt in. The second part, and you'll get more on this bill. I just have 2 components for this for next meeting, and there'll be more after that. The second part of this bill deals with parking regulations. For whatever reason, they are getting involved with parking regulations.
I saw that. Yeah.
Studio apartments and 1 bedrooms is 1 parking space. You can take your time, look at that yourself. And what I've done is same thing, giving you their statutory requirements for parking for residential areas or multi-developments, okay? And then I'm giving you a copy of our zoning regulations so you can compare the 2. And in that instance, with the parking regulations, that's the other matter that's in the state statute that we can also opt out if we choose to do so. And that bill looks like it's going to pass and become effective October 1st. So those are the 2 main components that I'm concerned with initially, but there are other components that I'll briefly put together and give to you so you can do comparative studies between the statute that's proposed and how our regulations read.
Beth, can you tell me why he voted no?
Because he did not feel it was appropriate for the towns that he represents. There was some discussion on You know, we are a home rule type of government here in town and in Newtown. And there's too much of this taking away from home rule. Another reason also had to do with the, you know, a lot of the different towns have different topographies, have sewer and water, some don't have sewer and water. I think there was a lot more involved with this in dealing with or looking at, there was a big movement up in Hartford called Desegregate Connecticut.
Right.
And the first state statutes that were really looked at and looked for changes were the zoning statutes.
Right.
I find it so bizarre because 169 towns were against what they were doing. And at the very end, each town now has the ability to opt out.
Correct.
I look at this as an entire waste of time spent in Hartford when a town will opt out and they know they will.
I know, I agree. You know, there's a lot of things that I agree with you on. There are also a lot of things in this bill when you read the overall, and I can send you, it's 26 pages long, that you should be proud of because your town has
We have so much.
forward thinking.
Oh, yes.
Like the accessory apartment regulation, let's face it. When you do the comparison between the two, you will see that you all are right on spot. You've got, like I say in my memo, you have 20 years experience of this. Now that I'll send you the complete bill because there also is a section dealing with transit-oriented development, TOD.
That's a great point, Beth.
And that section, when you read the section, you're going to say, we already did this.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I'm sure other towns do as well. Penny, you want to ask something?
I have just a really quick question for terminology. When you talk about accessory apartment, deed restriction, is that where an accessory apartment, the use of it or the rental of it is limited to immediate family or
or there is an and or in there under the requirements of section 8-30G of the state statutes.
So this is specifically about 830G.
Not necessarily, no.
And how accessory apartments.
This bill is saying you can have accessory dwelling units and they don't have to be deed restricted.
So we could put an apartment in our house.
You can put one in your house. You can build a house behind your house, and it does not have to be deed restricted under 830G. That's a way of increasing affordable housing without making it affordable. And I'm speaking as one of the proponents spoke during the hearings. This isn't me talking.
Oh, that if you say opt out, we as the commission would have to vote and opt out of this.
It's a process and it's not a big deal. It's a public hearing. You'd opt out, then the Board of Selectmen has to agree with you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But I just want you to look at it.
Once a town opts out, they're out completely, or at some point in the future, it would be.
We just opt out of the bill and we keep our own regulations and do our own thing.
Okay.
Can I just go back, and I apologize if I'm coming off as being very dense.
No.
How does this impact? This is for 830G. Help me understand, because
the way the bill.
Maybe I've just looked at computers too long today.
No, that's okay. The way the bill is written, it's saying that if you have a single family home in a residential zone, you have the right to put on an apartment. You have the right to build, say, an apartment, a dwelling unit. You have the right to build a dwelling unit in your backyard as a second unit. So what we're saying is you have the right to have a second unit on your property.
Okay.
Anybody in a residential zone.
Outside of your house.
So Beth, but this might help. That's the legislation that they're currently in the middle of passing. But
Correct.
Penny, what we do locally, our local regulations, it's a special permit, and we have another look at it where we restrict the size, we restrict that it's attached to the building. There's a lot of things that we could adjust or make it more appealing to the neighborhood. We're not against accessory apartments, but we want to be able to have a look at it. But this legislation would say you have a right just because you have a single family house in a residential zone.
Look at the
Understood.
fine print of our regulations versus the fine print of the statute. You'll see a lot of a lot of it is comparatively correct with each other, but the main focus of it is lacking.
Understood.
Okay, and
Thank
can I
you.
just say one thing? And I think the thing with my help Penny is it's 830G only because we make it deed restricted that is a relative or family member. So therefore it counts towards our percentage. If it's
Understood.
just an accessory that you're putting on your house, you would not, right, Beth?
That's close. Yeah. But I
Okay.
think you just need to take time, digest it,
Right.
take a look at it,
Understood. Okay.
write 50,000 questions. I think it's great to discuss it as much as we can,
Very good.
but I'm telling you, you all are doing the right thing with your
Oh, yeah.
accessory apartment regulations. Absolutely.
When I
Okay,
read it, that's
thank you.
exactly what I thought.
Thank you for clarifying.
Beth,
The
that
other part,
document- That 27-page document, can we pick it up in the office?
sure, I can print it up and you can
Oh,
come in the
yeah.
office and you can pick it up.
Perfect, thank
Oh,
you.
good, thank you. I'd
Great.
like to do that.
Okay. The last thing I wanted, can I move on to the next item? I just wanted
Absolutely.
to touch briefly. The last item is, it's more of a policy and housekeeping thing that we've been working on. It's when we send letters to the applicants for, this is what you need to do in order to submit to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And most of it is minutia, but I want you to, when I go down to, there's an item here, it says item 12. Where we refer the applications to town departments and parties for the review. P&Z Commission has 2 consultants on staff that if their services are needed as part of a review, it will be the responsibility of the applicant for payment and arrangements, which will, should be a which in there, which will be made through the department. Alyssa Valpetti, our architect, and Michael Galante with Hardestry in Hanover is with traffic.
Right.
This is different. This is we're signing contracts with these people because that's what that means is if Michael Galante is asked to review something that's coming in on Route 6 or something of that nature, he will say no. He represents the town of Bethel. We ran into this at the last 830G application we had out on Shelley Road.
Right.
I believe we ended up paying for that ourselves because the applicant refused to. And the applicant said, because of our regulations, you know, we have to get 3 quotes and so on and so forth. Well, we don't have to get 3 quotes. When we need someone, we make these contracts with the consultants until we're unhappy with them. Whereas if you need a nuclear physicist or, you know, something of that nature, yes, we will use the regulation appropriate and get proper bids. But it's been our standard operating procedure for at least the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, to use Michael Galante for traffic and Alyssa Valpetti for architect review. And so I'm putting that in the letters. So the next person that walks in the door, when they get this as part of the application thing, they will see that there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And that was basically what I had to tell you. And we're getting rid of some paper too, which is good. We used to ask for 10 to 15 copies. I only want 4. And 1 is for Kitty Grant.
Right, thank you.
And that's all I have for you this evening, Pat. Oh, outside of today, just for 123 Greenwood Avenue, they emptied out the house.
Yeah.
Oh,
And everything, if you go home that way, everything was outside today. It was amazing what was inside that building.
oh, I can imagine.
But
I
it was just
wondering
very
what was
sad.
that. Yeah. I
Very
was wondering
sad.
what that was.
Yeah, that was what's going on. It may go on tomorrow. It's not the end of the world. I think the closing is Friday.
Are they selling what's outside the building?
I have no idea. I can't go over there. The gentleman, you know, he gets very frustrated when he sees
I believe if you're driving along Greenwood Avenue, there's an estate sale sign that's
Oh, they
posted.
have the
whatever.
sign back up again,
Yeah.
okay.
But that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, thank you.
Selling stuff in
Thank you.
cars and trucks and everything else, so I believe they are selling the stuff.
Well, that's good.
All right, moving on to commission comments. Anyone? Hearing none, moving on to public input. BJ?
No, I don't have anything.
All right. If I may have a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Happy Memorial Day.
Opposed? Abstention? We are adjourned.
Before we close, before we
Yes.
all leave, quick question. When do